I still am seen. All of those things are there. And you have to believe it for yourself. People call people cocky when they have this confidence, right?
Yeah.
They're just sure of themselves, right?
Right.
You're not going to be able to come and tell them anything about them. And sometimes people can look at that as a good and a bad thing. It's a gift and a curse, because you can get to a point where you feel like, okay, ain't nothing wrong with you. No.
Welcome back to Voices Restored. Today we have Dr. Kosha in the building. She is my good friend, also an author, a speaker, the friend that you want to know and have in your corner. Dr. Kosha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy you're here.
Oh.
So you have a lot going on right now, business-wise.
Yes.
And you're also a therapist. You've been great support. Talk to us about what you do.
So, of course, yes, I am a licensed professional counselor. I'm licensed in like 6 states. I come from a family background of mental health, right? And so it's always been instilled in me to be the helper. It wasn't until I think I was like in my late 20s and I was like, okay, hey, I think this is really a calling for me.
Yeah.
Because you run from it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I don't want to deal with that.
I know the feeling.
And so, and my first job was in child protection, working for CPS. And that's when I was like, okay, this is my purpose. I wanted more. I wanted to do more and be more. And so that's when I started my journey to getting my degrees and really, really pushing it to the plate. So being able to stand in the gap, being able to see mental health deficits in person, knowing what it looks like, knowing how it affects yourself, families, it really got me to the point to where I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to identify, because I was already in the space, right? I was always the person that people went to for their problems, and I was the driving force in my family for that. So that's how I pretty much got through it, got my licenses and just kept going, so, and it's still a driving force behind everything that I do every day.
Well, good for you for recognizing that gift that you have. It's easy to talk to you. You're an easy person to talk to. I will say that.
People say that.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Yeah. So you have a special project that's coming out.
Yes,
Talk to us about this.
So I am working on a 14-day audio series for women, and it's titled Rebuilding My Life When I Don't Know Who I Am.
Rebuilding My Life When I Don't Know Who I Am Anymore. Wow.
And so it comes with a workbook as well. And so this is an audio series that it's like maybe 15, 20 minutes that you listen to every day. And I'm pouring into these people. We're talking, and they're in their moments, and I'm challenging them, right, to recognize different things throughout these 14 days. After the 14 days, you're able to see what you need to do going forward into regaining your identity. Because again, when you look at that, people lose themselves in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes you can have friends, family that can help you and tell you certain things, but you're not receptive of it because of who it comes from.
Yeah.
Now you have a different voice that you can hear every day that's walking you through that. And so it's self-paced. So it's not something that starts at a certain time every day. You do it at your leisure.
Take your time with it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about identity crisis, right? How do people lose themselves?
Easily. Like the main way that I see people losing themselves is in titles. We all have a lot of titles that make us who we are.
Yeah.
And we really think that our titles are who we are mothers, we're wives, we're sisters, like we're all those things, like we have jobs. But is that really who we are?
Right.
As a person? And when we get so engulfed in our titles, we don't sometimes know who we are, what we like, what we love, because it's evolved around so many other things.
Yeah. And it's easy to do that, I guess, because it's a hat that you have to put on every day. Like if you're a CEO, you're putting on that hat every day. If you're a manager, you're putting that hat on every day. You're a mom or wife.
Yes.
So it's easy to get lost in that, especially if you don't make time for yourself.
You don't. And it's about who you are in the core, right? And when I ask people that, when I start to ask people that now, and I do that because when I went to therapy one time, I was asked and I didn't have the answer. And I'm thinking like, man, like I'm a therapist, but I also know I'm human. And so it made me realize that I needed to do something. I needed to get back to me, right? I needed to get into my selfish mode and really determine who Kosha is outside of everything else. And so I went on a journey to do just that. You know, what is it that I like? The woman that I was 10 years ago is not the woman that I am now. I may like different things. I'm in a different space in life. But when I'm involved in all these titles and doing things, you tend to forget about yourself. You don't put a lot of energy in yourself because you're doing it for everybody else.
Staying busy.
And so I always ask people, and sometimes I do it as an exercise to say, okay, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me who you are. When they start giving me these titles and I let them finish and I'm like,
they're lost. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, without the titles. And when you tell people to strip away those titles, they're like,
they have no clue.
But it's okay, right? But when you can say and recognize that you don't know, that tells you that, okay, hey, I need to figure out who I am.
You have to do the work.
Right?
Yeah.
We get lost in that. You know, you have people that give so much in marriages and everything, because like you said, when you get up in the morning, your mom, you get up in the morning, you have to go to a job. You get up in the morning, you're still wife. You're still all of these things. So you have routine, right? And so that's who we are on the outside, but not really on the inside.
Yeah. So you have transition after transition after transition.
Absolutely.
And then, but within that transition, it sounds like you're saying you have to pause and recognize that you need to make some time for yourself.
You have to, because I hear a lot of people say, you know, I lost myself. It's easy to happen, right? Especially when it comes to relationships, because we give and we give and we give. We compromise, you know. We lower those boundaries because of love and additional things. And so when you feel like, okay, hey, I've just lost myself, like I don't know what my purpose is, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So it's really just not allowing people or things to get you in that space to where you don't recognize who you see in the mirror every day. I always do an exercise with some of my community called mirror work, because it's important that when you get up in the morning, you know, you think about, you got up this morning, you're doing your hair, you're doing your makeup, you're getting ready. But how often do we really just sit in that mirror and look and see who that person is? We don't. And so I always challenge them, like when you look in the mirror, take at least a couple of minutes and just look at who you see and be honest with yourself in that mirror. Nobody's there with you. There's no judgment. There's none of that. Who is it that you see? It can be good things. It could be bad things, right? But once you identify, you can't work on something you haven't identified, right? And so we have to stop having this wall up and thinking that we have to be perfect and that nothing is wrong. When we can be honest and real with ourselves, especially in that mirror, doing that mirror work, it's helpful.
Yeah.
You know what you have to work on. And if you can't be honest with nobody else, you can be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
That's powerful. Yeah. Identifying what the issue is. And so how does someone who is a DV survivor, they are now picking up the pieces to their lives and they feel like they've lost themselves, right? Because you get caught up in this relationship. It's toxic. It's abusive.
Yeah.
In so many different ways, psychologically, emotionally, verbally, physically, financially. You're trying to survive again in that moment. And you're trying to figure out who was Martine before I got into that relationship.
Absolutely.
Or who am I now? Maybe I'm not the same person that I used to be, but who am I now? How do I move forward? How do I identify the issues?
Yeah.
And how do I break free from all of that?
The major thing with that, especially with DV survivors, is support. You need a lot of support.
Support. That's key.
It's important because you can't do it alone, right? And of course you keep God first, but you cannot go through that process alone. It's important that the people you have around you are going to help you and uplift you and plummet you forward, right? But I think with those survivors, we tend to give a lot. I don't care what anybody says. Sometimes when we get in relationships, outside of losing yourself, like we give a lot.
Yeah.
And that's on both ends. Being in a relationship can change you for the better or for the worse. You have to determine how, right? And a lot of times women, they get with people, men, because they experience DV too.
Right.
You get with a partner and everything is good. We don't pay attention to red flags in the beginning.
Right.
And even when we do pay attention to them, we don't act on them. And I think that's an important thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to see a person in all aspects, being mad, like all of those things, right? And so I can speak from that because I've been in situations to where I've seen red flags and I was like, and that it ended up bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm beating myself up because I knew it. I saw it coming.
You ignored it.
But because of love or because of I felt I needed something in that moment, because we settle. Let's be honest, we settle. Because I needed something in that moment, I looked over it.
Yeah.
And it caused me more damage in the end versus me in the beginning putting a stop to it. So I always encourage women to, with dating, even if they're getting out of situations, to be very proactive. Of course, no one's perfect, but we're determining what it is that you need for you, and you're not swaying away from that, right? But also looking at that person for face value.
Yeah.
Right? Some things you can compromise on. Some things you shouldn't be willing to compromise
Don't
on.
ignore it. Yeah.
You can't ignore it because if it's there on the forefront, it's there. It takes certain things for it to surface. There's a lot of type of abuse that these women have experienced, from physical abuse. That's the main thing. But think about the mental abuse, the emotional abuse,
Right.
the verbal abuse.
Those are scars you can't see.
Those are things that hurt and sting just as much as the physical.
Right.
Sometimes even worse. Because what a person plummets here, you can't get away from. You're never going to forget that.
Right.
And you get out of situations to where sometimes when men or women tell you certain things and treat you away, you start to believe it. You start to question yourself. You're not strong in who you are if you're questioning yourself after a person, right? It's different from a person highlighting your difficulties and your faults.
Yeah.
But when they're taking that and using that to their advantage to damage you, that's a different thing. So when women are trying to rebuild themselves, the first thing to that is rediscovering who they are in that moment.
Rediscovering who you are.
Outside of that, right? This is who I am now. This is what I've been through, right? It's a part of my story. I'm not going to let it keep me down, but how do I move forward to becoming who I need to be now? So that's kind of what the basics of that is.
Yeah, rediscovering who you are. And you talked about the mirror work. I used to do affirmations in the mirror. So I had like little sticky notes that had, I am beautiful, I am successful, I am worthy, right? And that process, does that need to continue over time, or do you feel like, okay.
It does. You're never supposed to stop pouring into yourself. A lot of times we seek validation from other people. It doesn't matter if someone else doesn't see it or they don't say it, right? You need to be able to say these things and believe them for yourself. Because I can get in the mirror all day and say I'm worthy, but in my heart, do I really feel that way? I'm covering something. Do I really feel that I'm worthy, or I'm just saying it because it's an affirmation? I'm trying to put something in my head that I don't really believe.
How do you get to that belief part?
Right. And so that's that inner mirror work. So before you even get to that part, you could split that mirror up. I don't care. I've seen people do it. Here you have your affirmations, but here are the hard questions you need to ask yourself. This is the truth. This is my truth. How do I get from this truth, right, to over here? Yes, I have all of these faults. I have all of these things, but I still am worthy. I still am beautiful. I still am seen. All of those things are there. And you have to believe it for yourself. People call people cocky when they have this confidence, right?
Yeah.
They're just sure of themselves, right?
Right.
You're not going to be able to come and tell them anything about them. And sometimes people can look at that as a good and a bad thing. It's a gift and a curse, because you can get to a point where you feel like, okay, ain't nothing wrong with you. No, but having that sense of confidence and security, because a lot of times it doesn't have to be in relationships. People can say things to us that put us here.
Right.
because we're not built up on the inside and strong enough to not be able to take that. It could be the smallest things. It can be about our appearance. It can be about who we are as people. Everybody's different. But it takes work, right? It takes you seeing a therapist. It takes you having people to hold you accountable, not people who are going to tell you what you want to hear, but the people that are going to be real with you and tell you. I don't want friends, anyone around me that's not going to tell me the truth.
You want the truth.
I want you to tell me when I'm wrong. I want you to call out my imperfections because I may not see it.
Right.
Right. But when you do call out my imperfections, I'm not going to be defensive and argue with you because you said it. I'm going to take it for face value and look at it and say, maybe I am like that. Maybe I do that. Right. Because especially if it's more than one person that says it,
then it has to be true.
We got to be open to that.
And then be open to receive it.
We got to be. It's not all bad. Because I've seen a lot of times in friendships specifically, women will hold things in, and then when things blow up, all of these things come out, and then the person is like, well, why you ain't been said that? You been had that on your heart. That makes you feel different.
Yeah.
Why did this person not feel comfortable of calling me out and telling me things? Did they care enough about me? Now you're questioning everything, right?
The friendship,
all of
their
that.
character.
So you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to determine that. If you have people that are going to just agree with those are not the good people to have.
Agreeable people. That's a personality.
Yeah. It's like you can't have that around you.
Right.
There's no challenge.
Especially when you're trying to grow. You need that honesty. Yeah. And then so the self-evaluation piece is needed for yourself, building that strong foundation to the core of you so that no one can break you in that aspect.
Yes.
Will things continue to hurt from time to time? Probably. Maybe we're human.
Yeah. They will.
But just being sure of who you are.
Yeah. They'll continue to hurt, but it gets better.
Yeah.
Right. Once you're able to see, and I always tell people, look at things in measurable senses. Like you're probably down and hurting and going through stuff 7 days a week. But guess what? At some point, it's going to tear down. It's going to start happening every 5 days, maybe 4 days a week. That's showing progress. It's not gone.
Yeah.
But you're showing progress, right? You're not crying every day now. So when you're still continuously doing the work, I'll call my friends and push them to the point. Hey, you did your mirror work this morning? I'll go in my online community. Who did their mirror work this morning?
Yeah.
Right. I'm the type of person, I'm going to hold you accountable, especially when you tell me that you feel that there's deficits, something you need to work on. I'm going to make sure you work on it.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind you of what you said you needed to do for you.
Hold you accountable.
That's it. That's accountability.
Right. You need friends like that.
You absolutely need friends like that.
So you have your affirmations on the right side, and on the left side, you have the issues that you need to tackle, the truth,
Absolutely.
right? So what are some truths behind a DV survivor? I'm thinking, like, how did I get in a relationship like that? Why did I stay this long? Like, what is it about me, right, that attracted that type of person?
It's that self-sabotage. Of course, after any situation, you're asking yourself the question because guess what? You're looking at yourself you're blaming yourself. Like you're the problem, right? We can't help who we love. That's first and foremost. I do agree that sometimes it is hard for women to move on because we always talk about, me and my husband always have the conversation. He was like, there's not a lot of good people, quality people out there. And so sometimes women and men may feel like they're not going to get any better. They're not going to find any better. That keeps people in bad spaces for longer because they feel like, okay, I can deal with a little bit of this because I can go out here and be dealing with more.
There's worse out there. I've heard that.
Now you're accepting, right? Because you feel as if it's not going to get no better than this.
You're settling.
But you're bringing all of this drama and trauma into your life and onto yourself because of that. You don't want to leave. You're asking yourself, why did I stay so long? And I've had women tell me all kind of excuses. I stayed for the kids. It's the number one.
Yeah.
Number one, right? But when you stay in a situation for your children, but your children are still exposed to what you're dealing with because they see, they understand, they
Right.
know.
It's
Are you
damaging.
truly protecting them? What's
Yeah.
the difference? What's the difference? Because at the end of the day, if you have to raise those children, you have to be whole, you have to be healthy. That stuff tilters over, right? I remember one time I was on the phone with my sister. She was going through something, and I can hear my nephew come in the house. Mom, are you crying? They know. They feel it. So if you say you're there for the children, or he's taking care of me financially,
That's another
that
reason.
gives him the reason to treat me how he wants to.
Whatever way he wants.
And when you give people that power, they recognize it and they take it and they run with it. Because guess what? They know you're not. They know it. It's all about the person, what they allow, what they do, and how they move forward. Nobody's always strong like that. Love is a powerful thing. People don't realize that. When people in love make you do stuff, and so when you're to that point, it's sometimes hard for people to break past that. Oh, he's a good person. He just gets angry a lot. You're making excuses for them.
Is it love, or is it our perception of love, or what we think
it can be
love looks like?
It can be both, because I truly believe that a person can really love you, right? But still have damaging factors that may affect the relationship. A person who's verbally, emotionally abusive, I'm a thinker, so I always, look at stuff for face value. I'm looking at the behaviors on the surface, but what has happened to this person in their life that's causing them to be this way? Right. It could be neurological things that's real that may be causing it, or it can be something environmental, right? Family, raised up in a family that's cursing and yelling, and they're used to it. So some people think it's normal.
Right.
I grew up like this. So this is not the normal thing.
It's learned behavior. Yeah.
It's learned behavior, and we don't realize that. So a lot of people say, well, how you say you love me and you do this? They can still love you and make those mistakes. Now, some mistakes are mistakes, not intentional, but some are.
Yeah. When it becomes reoccurring and constant, that's when you need to separate and say, hey, you need to get some help.
Exactly.
I need to get some help.
Yeah.
We're not good together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a person sometimes, I've also seen in a lot of different situations where people don't take accountability and feel that they need the help. People shy away from therapy sometimes. I don't need help. I don't need to seek therapy. Nah. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason for the behaviors. Let's figure out what the reason for it is. Let's address that. And then let's work on the behaviors, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't work on things backwards. I always tell people, you look at the little, what do you call them? The blow pops. You're trying to get to the gum in the middle. Like, it's like you have to get to the core of what that is for everything to work. Because if you're just dealing with the symptoms on the forefront, you're putting a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah, that's good.
You can tell me that you're sorry, right? We can do all of these things. We're putting a Band-Aid on it. What is the root of this issue? And a lot of people won't be open and honest to their partner, so they have to be open and honest with somebody.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. A lot of times they may not know what their issue is. So they go to therapy, and that therapy gets down to the nitty-gritty and help them to, that's the culprit.
Yeah. So let's talk about therapy, because a lot of people, especially in our culture, shy away from it. They don't want to talk to nobody. Why do you think people, first of all, what is therapy?
I think therapy is a place for you to release. I look at therapy that way because people have their own ideas of what that is. They feel like a therapist is there to judge and just put a diagnosis over your head. All of those things are a part of the word, right? Yes, it's true. You may have a diagnosis, but however, therapists don't judge. Therapists, we're not biased. Like, we just want to be able to be in the middle to be able to help you.
Yeah.
Right. And people are afraid of the judgment. They don't want to tell people their business. Right. I've seen some men, they don't want to see a woman therapist because they think the woman is going to take the side of the wife. So it's all type of stigmas that surround it that keeps people from doing it. And then not only that, therapy wasn't a big thing back then. Depends on the area you grew up in. Therapy is now a big thing, but back then it wasn't. So it's like we got through then. We can get through without it now.
Yeah.
So we have to go back and look at all of that history in regards to what that looks like. So I always tell people therapy is your release. That's your outlet.
Yeah.
And you use that as such, right? And so when people start looking at therapy different, they're more open to it.
So especially Black men, I feel like they don't want to go to see a therapist or talk to a therapist.
No.
But what are some myths that we could break down today so people could be more open to therapy?
The main thing is that a lot of people are afraid of diagnosis.
Okay.
Right. I don't need nobody diagnosing with me, because most of the time when you do a diagnosis, it's just like when you're seeing medical doctors. It's in your file. It's a part of you. You have schizophrenia, that's a part of you. You have anxiety, it's a part of you. You have depression, it's a part of you. PTSD, all of that is a part of you, right? And so now this is something that additionally that I have on me that I have to carry. A lot of people, you ever see as people in a situation, I'd rather not know.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that things are going on, but I'd rather not know or have that on it. So that's one. The judgment is a big one, right? Who are you to tell me about me, right? How are you going to help me?
Yeah.
What makes you as a therapist an expert with my situation, right? That's why you have all type of therapists that have different backgrounds and niches that they practice in. You know, you may go to a therapist for marriage counseling, but this is a therapist that haven't been married.
Right.
So you're
is that a red flag?
You know, you're looking at a lot of things here, right? And so that's why people have to research and choose the therapist that's best for them.
Shop around.
That works for them in their situation, right? I don't want to treat somebody that is dealing with an issue that is not my core focus.
Yeah.
I probably could, but why would I?
Yeah. Right?
Because ethically, I'm setting you up for failure. Because I'm trying to treat you for something that I'm not well versed in. You know? And so that is a big thing with judgment. Those are the two things that I really, really, really see that prohibits people from actually taking that next step.
Okay. Now, what does a therapy session look like for folks who have not ever been in a therapy session? Can you kind of walk us through that?
So, of course, with therapy, you pick your therapist. You've determined that this is the person that you actually want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're signing consents, informed consent forms. You know, this is what this is. I'm not here to judge. Like all of these things, right, that you have to sign. Your first therapy session will probably be an assessment. That therapist is assessing you. They're asking you a lot of questions. They're getting background. They're getting history. Sometimes those assessment comes with diagnoses. Sometimes they don't, because if I don't have enough information to get a diagnosis, then I can't diagnose you. So we're working on surface. That's why I always tell people it's important that when you see a therapist for the first time, you give them all the things. You tell them everything. That helps us as therapists to determine your treatment, what you need. And once we kind of identify that to say, okay, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Let's break it down.
Yeah.
I typically don't give people any more than 3 goals to work on. I don't, because I don't want to overwhelm them with working on a whole lot at one time. And as I see fit, I'll tell them like, hey, these are some things that have come up. What do you think is most important to you right now in your life that you want to deal with? Because you may be coming to me wanting to work with me because you're having issues in your relationship. But doing that assessment, I might uncover some other things that you need to work on before you give to someone else in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And then they be like, well, I didn't come here for that. You can't go backwards. You have to treat this first before this is going to be better. If you don't change, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. So it sounds like you are not only identifying the issues, just like the post-trauma, when you talk about doing the work in the mirror, you got to identify the issues, and you're doing the same thing in therapy with the client, right? And everyone doesn't have a mental health issue, so to speak.
Correct.
You might just need to talk through some things.
Yeah.
But you need to identify and you need to be honest
Yeah.
with your therapist. And then, of course, there's homework that needs to be done. So you have to do the work.
Yes, it's always challenging. You will be challenged, and certain therapists are different, right? I consider myself a very realistic therapist, and so I talk from that standpoint, right? When I see things, and some people, I will ask in certain situations, do you want me to provide advice? Do you want me to provide you with something, or do you want me to just listen?
Okay. So you ask them, what is it that you're looking to gain from it?
Because sometimes people just need to vent.
Okay.
They just want to vent. Like, I just need to get this off my chest. Because guess what? Nobody else hears them. And that's what they need. They just want to get it out. But when you start giving back, a lot of people give you pushback. So you have to know what you're actually doing. And I always like, okay, are you okay if I give you an option? Are you okay if I give you some advice? Like, you kind of work that in to help people, because I've seen a lot of people that come and vent, and I can look at the person in the situation and be like, okay, yeah, you're the problem. We got to do some work. And I can be open and say that, but it's still up to the person if they want to pursue that or not. I've had people to come and visit me that have gotten up and walked out of my office because it got too tough. Some have come back, some haven't, right? But you have to know, when you're going through therapy, you have to do the work. And that work is not going to always be pretty. It's going to challenge you. It's going to stretch you. You're going to have to revisit some very ugly things. You're going to have to face some very hard truths. But you have to be willing to do that to get better.
Yeah.
And some people, like, I just want to bury it and keep it under the rug. I don't want to bring it back up. I don't want to talk about it. And it stays there. But when it stays there, it eventually comes out in behaviors. It'll peek its ugly head. You'll be like, why are you so mad all the time?
Right.
Something's going on.
You got to confront the issues.
Got to.
Ooh.
You got to.
It could be a lot for some people.
It can.
Yeah. So when you talk about rebuilding the woman, rebuilding the DV survivor, what other tips or advice can you give a survivor?
I would say don't too much focus on the strength part of it. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be in that space to where you have to get back there. Don't feel rushed that you got to have it all together the next day. Mm-hmm. But as long as you know that you have something active that you're working on every single day, and you can see that you're making progress, that's going to give you the will and the motive to keep going.
Yeah. Because
if a person feel like, oh, I don't see any progress, I don't see anything else that I'm doing, then you're going to say it's not working. Yeah. What am I doing here? Because we're looking at the bigger picture. We want to rush and get to the end of the road instead of actually, we can't jump all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's why it is important to have people that's going to say, I'm here with you. You're doing good, right? Because you're going to second guess it. So don't feel like you have to be strong coming out of that situation. Because you're slowly getting back to you. And so that's the most important thing. It's the recovery from DV is not something to rush. It's kind of like grief. You've lost a part of yourself, right? And now you have to move on with the person that you are now, with this newfound trauma that's attached to you.
Yeah.
And that takes time.
Right. And so even with everyone's journey is different. I've learned that their healing journey is different. One can take longer than the other. Mm-hmm. Depending on their experience with the trauma, and maybe they had past trauma when they were younger.
Yeah.
So layers have to be worked through, right?
They have to be. It's layers. And like I said, you have to be willing to do the work. I never tell people, you got it, it's going to be easy. I want to be honest and upfront.
Right.
I want them to know that this is going to be tough. You're going to have your days, which is why I say your support is important in this time.
Yeah.
You may have to not deal with certain people in this moment of your journey because of what you're doing and where you're trying to go. It's purposeful, right? And so we have to make sure that we have that. And so in therapy, we identify that. Like, who are your people? Who's your tribe?
Yeah.
Right? How are they going to help you? Because you as a person, you're going to have to tell them what you need from them.
Who's your tribe? So I know a lot of times there are like groups, support groups. That's what they call it, support groups.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be beneficial?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. Outside of therapy, when you go to support groups, you're able to hear from other people that have experienced the same thing that you have. It helps a person to know that they're not alone, that there are other people that have experienced this. They get to talk about what's happened. I may talk to another young lady that gives me something that helped her. I might want to try and see if it helps me.
Okay.
And it may. But having, and it's, I don't look at it as trauma bonding with those people. It's just like I'm in a place to where I'm around peers that have experienced the same thing, and we're talking about our experiences. People gain from that, right? And so I do think that those support groups are helpful. So if you can find a support group, that's major.
In addition to
doing
the work
doing
for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when it comes to PTSD, anxiety, stress, how does someone manage that on a day-to-day?
Well, coping skills, right? It's twofold, depending on the nature of it, depending on the diagnosis. There may be medication involved. Some people can get through these things without medication, some can't. Sometimes you got to have both, right? Because there's symptoms that go through that, right? And your coping skills may not always work, but it's putting those things in practice. You have to figure out what works for you, right? It could be journaling. It's a lot of different coping skills out there that you have to really look in and say, okay, hey, that didn't work for me, but maybe this does. Some people can't write in journals. Some people like to talk stuff in their phone.
Audio.
It's still the same. You're getting it out, right? Writing letters to people that you feel that have hurt you. Not that you got to mail them, but you're getting it out. That's the key thing, is getting this stuff out, not holding it in, because it brings upon other things. So I would say that that's important.
When it comes to DV survivors and the workplace and having to still take care of their children, what are some common problems that you are noticing?
Taking off work. You go to work, you're having a very bad day, emotionally, mentally. Some people like, I just need to go home. If you're not okay there, you're not able to function to your full capacity.
Yeah.
That deficit is going to show at some point. It's going to show in your work. It's going to show in everything. So a lot of times when people experience that, it's hard for them to keep employment, to keep jobs, and just to kind of be their full selves, because it's hard to fake and put on a face when you're experiencing turmoil at home and you're hurt and you're broken on the inside. It's hard, especially for individuals who have jobs and they deal with people. You're having breakdowns at work. Like, you're going through all of this stuff. Like, it's almost like a illness that some people use time to take off.
Yeah.
To actually go through.
If they're able to. Unfortunately.
But if they're not able to, they're having to deal with it.
Yeah.
But even though they're showing up at work, sometimes they're not fully showing up. And so it'll eventually become a problem if they're not able to separate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's heavy. And of course, there's jobs that don't care. And
No.
They don't consider any of that.
No. It don't matter what you're going through. It don't matter. None of that matters, right? And again, you're, and I can understand the standpoint. You know, you're thinking on the business, but when we talk about business, like, you have to have some type of empathy, right? You have to understand that, hey, if my employee's not good, then something's going to fall short here.
Right.
So how can I accommodate her?
Right.
What can I do to make her better, to where she's better with the role that she's in and the work that she's doing?
Yeah.
So it's tenfold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that children receive therapy as well, especially if they witness domestic violence in the home?
Oh, yeah. Children are like sponges when they're younger, especially younger growing up, they're like sponges, like really. They take in everything. You'd be surprised. I mean, you probably can say we're older now. I know a lot of stuff that I remember when I was younger that people are like, well, how do you remember that? You was probably about 3 or 4. Listen, they remember things. And I always tell people a lot of things that happen to us in our younger years affect us in our older years. Right? You see it. I know when people are struggling with family issues, that is because, okay, of what has happened in the family dynamics in the past. Children especially, I feel sometimes these days children need therapy more than the adults because that's where it starts, right? And we have to understand that our children are facing and dealing with a lot of things. I used to hear parents saying, well, she's just 3, she's just 14, she shouldn't be having no worries. That's not true. Our children are faced with so much pressure these days, going to school, wanting to be accepted. You got social media. It's hard. It's hard. And you have to be able to recognize that. That's why I see me dealing with adolescents and teens. I see a lot of cutting, suicidal ideations. And as parents, we have to be able to recognize and see that our children are suffering.
It's so sad. I mean, the kids, the teenagers, all of these things that you're witnessing. And they need an outlet. You know, they need an outlet, someone to talk to. I feel like there's not enough programs anymore. Growing up, I thought I experienced this, but there was a lot of after school programs, dance clubs, drill.
It was always something to do.
You know, there was always something to do. And I feel like because of lack of funds or cutbacks and all that. There's not a lot available. We have to keep them busy
and engaged.
Yeah.
And I think as adults, we have to be more open. The kids these days, like we're in a different era. Like, I'm 46. Like how we were raised when I was younger is not what it is now. And I have 2 kids, and so it's taught me. I can't be a parent like I would have been then. I can't be the parent to my kids that my parent was to me.
Yeah.
I have to hear hard conversations because if my child can't talk to me because I'm a therapist and I see a lot of children, well, I can't talk to my mom. She just doesn't listen. They're going to find a way, an outlet because of that. That's where the cutting starts. So you lose them if you're not open, right? And I've had to learn that I would rather my children talk to me than feel as if they can't. And again, I'm a parent. I've had to hear some hard things and like, oof,
Right.
But I always tell my kids I'm going to always respond as a parent first. I'm not a therapist first. I'm a mother first. So I'm responding as a parent, right? And they have had to teach me in the moment how to support them based off what their needs are. What I thought was beneficial is not. They want to show us how to help them. There are things that we have to do as parents that we have to adjust and alter to be there for our kids. But some parents don't want to because they don't feel like that they're the problem.
Right.
You imagine having a client that's having issues at home and you realize that the issue can be from some of the things that the parent is doing, but the parent does not want to accept that. You're trying to work with the client. It's always going to be a tug of war. So even though I'm working with the client, I'm still working with the family. And as a parent, I need to be able to come to you and say, hey, you're handling this way. Let's try something different, right? I want to be able to tell you, hey, instead of fussing at her and shutting her down, try to just listen, right? That's all they want. And those small things can keep our kids in very safe places, right? And so I think that that's something that as parents, we need to realize we need to shift sometimes too.
Don't be stuck in your ways.
We got to shift sometimes too. We have to, so you'd be surprised what your children will teach you.
They teach a lot if you pay attention.
They give you the blueprint. They'll tell you like in so many words, like this is what I need. And you have to be willing in a certain instance to be able to say, okay, hey, I do need to do that. I've told my kids a lot. So you know what? I probably do need to be a little better at that. You know, my 21-year-old told me, hey, Mom, when I was 9, 10, 11, I felt like you weren't there for me mentally. Probably wasn't, because I was a single mom working 2 jobs trying to make sure that they had a roof over their head and they ate. I may have been absent for you mentally. There's nothing I can do about it now, but apologize, but be better going forward.
Yeah.
And all he wanted was to hear an apology from me.
I think that's great that he was able to come to you and say that.
It took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while, but we were at it. We always was, and I'm like, it's something there. He's rebelling against me for something. Like, what is it? Then when I have those conversations and I determine what it is, and have it to explain to him, like, you know, I was a young parent. I didn't have the support. I didn't have a handbook that told me how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm finding my way.
You're trying to make
So
ends
I
meet.
know that I may have slacked here because I was so focused on making sure you didn't go without, right? What can I do going forward? I want it to be better.
Yeah.
So now I'm more open. He comes to me, he talks to me about stuff openly. And I can respond as a mom, or I can respond to say, okay, hey, I understand, and go through that. And that kind of goes back to me saying that I've had to hear a lot of hard things. My children have had to tell me a lot. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, I'm your mom and I did this here, I took care of you. No, I probably did fall short. I don't mind my kids calling me out on things that they felt like I didn't do.
Right. Because we're not perfect as parents, you
How
know.
am I going to fix it?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I deal with a lot of people in therapy that have maternal and paternal issues. Like, they are adults and they have hard relationships with their family. They don't get along with their parents. And I always tell them, like, listen, we persecute our parents for being absent, treating us a certain way and not doing things, but we have to go back. I had a client who was like, hey, my parent never told me she loved me. But then when you dig deeper, she was never told.
Right.
She can't give you something that she didn't get. She doesn't know how to. Right. Now you guys can put that into place and start doing it. But you're expecting your mom to tell you these things when it wasn't general practice in her household. So sometimes our expectations are here because it's like their parents, they fall short too. We got to look at how they were brought up. We got to look at everything. And sometimes we don't. We persecute them and nail them to the cross because of.
So when you have a person or a child who experienced trauma and now they're an adult or whatever have you, they probably they didn't have the means to seek therapy at the time.
Correct.
Is it ever too late?
No. It's never too late as long as the problem still is there. If you're still having problems with that and something's still bothering you, it's worth working that out.
Yeah. Forgiveness
is a big thing. I'm not saying forgiveness, because everybody has shortcomings. So it doesn't matter at what point you pick up, because again, therapy wasn't available, but you're still going through an era where people didn't really go to therapy. They didn't feel like they needed it. Family therapy is important. So important. So when you get together and you work these things out, you'll see change. Yeah. And then not only that, a person has to want to change. You can't feel like just because, parents say, well, I'm old, I'm set in my ways. You can change if you want to.
If you want to.
Yeah.
So we will close out with that. Mm-hmm. So you can change if you want to. And therapy is important.
Yeah.
Get the help. It's never too late.
Never too late for therapy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kosha. This was a great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Needed.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for joining Voices Restored. We will see you next time. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.